Well, welcome YouTube. I am your host, Brad Claybaugh, and you have found Brad's Boredom Busters, your textile art channel. This is where we have fun with fabric. And on this video, we are going to be revisiting a past project. We are going to be revisiting our Rainbow Sea Turtle t-shirt. As you may know, I've been having several spring and summer bazaars, and I'm running low on my inventory. I took a break from making long format videos so I could produce more shirts for my shows. And so by doing so, I made a variety of sizes of Rainbow Sea Turtle t-shirts. You can check out my short video on that and see a pile of them. So in the process of making all those shirts, I learned something new, and I wanted to pass that on to you. And so this is the original shirt that I made in the first video, and it's an extra large. And that one I kept for myself because I loved it so much. And my wife wanted me to make one for her too. And so this one is hers. It's also an extra large, but it's a woman's fitted style shirt. And I also made several different sizes for my inventory. And I learned something about the smaller sizes where I come up with this problem that you see in my wife's shirt, where the sides of the shell kind of get tapered in. So if you remember from the original video, the process order for folding up the sea turtle pattern is I was having you stitch out the fins with a basting stitch, and then pulling that tight and tying it off with sinew, and then folding up the head and the shell, and then tying those off also. Well, I found with the smaller size shirts, if I did it in that order, where we tied up the fins first, then the shell ended up kind of puckering in. So what I've learned is it's best to actually, yes, stitch up the fins first with a basting stitch, but then fold up the head and tie it off, and fold up the shell and tie it off, then pull your thread and tie off the fins. So that gives you a more consistent, good shape for your shell. And I'll demonstrate that. So one other item that we want to change from our original process or the original video is the needle that we use to stitch up the fins. Because a t-shirt material is basically a stretch knit, you need to use a needle that's made for that. Now this chart here is from Joann Fabrics, which is my local fabric and craft store, and it shows that it's best to use what they call a ballpoint needle for stretch knit fabrics. So, and if you notice in the description of the ballpoint needle, it says it has a blunt tip. Well, they were out of the ballpoints when I was there, and so the closest thing I could find is what they call a tapestry needle. And if you see here on their chart, it also says it has a blunt tip. So I think that might work just as well as the ballpoint. And so that's what I bought, and that's what we'll use today when I go to fold up a new sea turtle t-shirt. And so let's go over to the table, and I'll show you the new process, and we'll dye it, and then I'll show you the results at the end. Like I say, this works really well if you're doing smaller size shirts. I did it the old method on 2Xs, 3Xs, even extra large, and it comes out good that way. But if you're doing smaller, extra large, large, medium, smalls, extra smalls, or children's sizes, then you want to do this new order of folding, whereas we stitch up the fin, but then fold up the head and the shell first. All right, let's go over to the table and I'll show you how it's done. All right, Busters, so here we are at my work table. So we're going to start with a 100% cotton t-shirt This is a small for the demonstration, just to show you what I was talking about, how to fold up the sea turtle and get a good shaped shell on a smaller size. And so, per usual, 100% cotton. We've got it pre-washed first, then soaked in soda ash for 20 minutes at least, spun out in the washer, and so now it's slightly damp. And so to make our pattern, let's turn it inside out. Okay, now let's find the center of the collar. The way I like to do that is take the shoulder seams, bring those together at the sleeve, and then where the seam comes together by the collar, line all that up, straighten that out like that, and then that gives you a good reference for the front of your shirt. All right, so let's take our washable fabric markers. Just make a little mark here at the collar. Then open it up again, lay that out. Take the bottom seams of the sleeves, grab those, shake out the shirt to straighten it out, lay that back down, and grab both sides of the bottom of the shirt, bring that together. That'll be the middle of the front at the bottom. Okay. All right, so now that we've got our center marks, grab both of those at the collar and at the bottom hem, and then fold that in half and face that toward you. Then put your hand through. We're going to pull the sleeve through. There we go. It helps keep it symmetrical that way. That way when you dye it, both sleeves will look identical. And it just keeps it less bulky. There we go. Okay. Straighten that back out. There we go. Okay. So now just lay that out as flat as you can. All right, so now we can draw up our turtle pattern. So let's come down a few fingers from the collar for the head. And then flatten that out at the bottom. All right, then we're going to make our shell. Ready. It's good. Okay, now for the fin. Come up here high. And then in and around and back. There we go. And then the bottom fin. Okay, there's our sea turtle. Fix this a little bit. There we go. Better. Okay, so now we've got that drawn up. So now we can stitch. We'll do a basting stitch around both the bottom fin and the top side fin. Let's say you'll take your ball point needle, or in my case, a tapestry needle. We want to use heavy duty thread just because you're going to be pulling on it, so you don't want it to break. Upholstery thread is good. This is a heavyweight polyester thread. It's a outdoor for outdoor fabric or outdoor upholstery, so that'll be just fine. The knot's there just to keep it from accidentally pulling through. It's not anything you're going to be leaving in permanently, so it doesn't matter. Just knot the end of your thread. All right, so I'll stitch this up. We'll just run through it quick, so enjoy the music. Like I said, you're just doing a basting stitch, so it can be spread out. It's just something there to help gather up the fabric when that time comes. Okay, there we are back at the beginning of that one. Just cut your thread along. We'll get back to that later. We can knot this end. Hopefully there's probably not going to be enough to go all the way around. Let's pull a new thread. All right. All right, so there we are all the way around both fins. So now so you can see how we're basted all the way around. So now let's concentrate on the rest of the turtle. So now we will fold the head first, and then we'll fold the shell. So just follow your lines like a normal tie-dye pattern. Now we're going to tie all this off with sinew. So put a slip knot in your sinew. Go. Keep the line straight. Tie that off right there. Round a few times. Pull her tight. Couple more times around. There we go. That end, that one. Okay, put another slip knot in to get ready for the shell. Okay. So now this is where the benefit comes in. We're going to do that first. It'll tend to, you'll get pleats through the fins, That's great because that'll actually help when we come to pull the thread. All right, so let's start pleating up the shell. Okay, there we got our shell tied. So keep your pattern line as straight as you can. Get the sinew in place. Another slip knot ready. All right, but before we tie up the fins, let's go. Okay, now on to the fins. So we'll do the top one first. So the way I like to do this is poke it up. Just grab the ends there. Just slowly start gathering that. And then what you want to try to do is make this side and this side even when you bring them together. And then try to just tighten up your sinew on your pattern line. Takes care of those fins. And we can trim this stuff off, the excess thread. And that'll get pulled out when you do the washout. So you can just leave the thread in, don't worry about it. Okay, the bottom fin, same way. Okay, so there's our sea turtle tied up. Got our shell. This is the shell, the head, side fin, bottom fin. And so what I've been doing with these shirts is taking and putting a pattern on the back. The smaller the shirt is, though, the harder it is because you end up getting this curve. But you can simply just pleat it up. All right, so that'll just be an interesting stripe up the back. We'll hit that with multiple colors and that'll be interesting. The rest of the shirt, basically just scrunch up That's why I kind of pull the sleeve through itself so it can kind of just lay in here. You kind of pull it apart, make a hole so you can push the sleeve kind of down into itself. And then the rest gets scrunched up. And I will rubber band the rest of that. Okay, that's that. You just kind of want to make sure you pull your fins and the head out and keep it all separate so you can see where you're dyeing. Okay, so there's our new and improved sea turtle tie-up pattern. So I will take this out to the garage and we'll dye it up, and then I'll show you that, and I'll rinse and wash it out, and we'll do a reveal at the end. Okay, we'll see you in the garage. All right, welcome back, all my Buster buddies. All right, we're out here in the garage, and we're ready to dye up our rainbow sea turtle t-shirt. Like I said before, this is a small. I'm showing you how to tie it up in a different order so you get a good shape shell and still good fins. And as I apply the dye, I'll show you the colors that I'm going to be applying. And so let's get started. And we'll start first with the rainbow shell, which will be this portion here. This is the head. These are the fins. And then the body of the shirt, we'll do a little design on the back. All right, enjoy the music. All right, busters, that's all dyed, so it's going in the tub. Like I say, I'll do a rinse out, and then we'll do a reveal after it's cured for 24 hours and I've gotten it washed out. All right, we'll see you then. Bye. All right, boredom busters, here we are at the table for our reveal. So, we were trying to accomplish making a perfect shell and still having good fins in the head. And you can see here we don't have the problem that I showed in the early example in the video. Yep, came out really good, another success. I'll show you the back. Kind of an interesting pattern I created on the back. A little askew, but hey, when you're wearing it, it'll probably look fine. Anyway, so that's that. So let's get back to the table and we'll talk about what's coming up. Hey, all right, my Buster buddies. I hope you enjoyed that project. Hey, I hope you learned something new on it. I know this was a follow-up of an earlier video, but I had some new information I wanted you to hear about, and I wanted you to see the results. So when you attempt this project yourself, you have excellent results as well. So hey, thanks for watching. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do so. Hey, if you really like this video, give it a thumbs up. That really helps me out as well. And share my videos around. That also really helps. And don't forget to ring that notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. And I know in the past, I did a short on some bleach painting t-shirts. And so I think we'll probably start working on some of those next. So make sure you come back so you don't miss that. All right. Hey, everyone. Take care of yourself. Peace out, baby. Love ya. And don't forget to go bust out some art.